It's November 14th. We're out here in the big orchard in elderberries, and we're going to talk today about taking cuttings. So let's get into it. Now, when it comes to taking uh, cuttings, there's a lot of different ways to consider. Now, this is one variety I want to take cuttings of. This is the emerald strawberry. I like the flavor of this one. And what I want to do, I don't want this tree to just keep shooting up high. I want to take, and I'm going to lop it off. Now, this has got leaves, as you can see. Now, they'll root just as good with leaves on them. I bought a lot of cuttings that it was in the growing season where they were in California or something like that. And they root just fine. But what I want to do, I'm going to cut this off about here, a little bit, about 40 inches high. And now, when you cut this off, you want to cut it at an angle. You don't want water to set on it. And now I don't want necessarily, it'd be all right if it bushes, but I don't particularly want it to bush. So what I'm going to do is take this side shoot here too. Now, some of you might think this is drastic, but it's really not that bad. Now, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, let's wait till they go dormant," and such as that. But like I say, if I take these right now, I can pot them up. They'll start rooting in, and they'll be fine. Now, the way I do it is I have a greenhouse, so once I get them up and they start leafing, I can put them in there and keep them warm enough. And I'm going to take a few more varieties of these, and I'm going to mark them. It's good to have a grease pencil. Mine's in my ATV, so I'll have to go get it. But mark which variety they are, because otherwise, when you get them back, it's going to be hard to tell unless you're just really good at recognizing different ones, and there's so many that look alike. Okay, we have our cuttings, and we mark some of these because we want to make sure we know what they are as far as our fig cuttings go. Now, our elderberry cuttings, we didn't mark these because they're just one particular variety. So, but anyway, the way I do this is, and I'll cut these up, but I mix me up a mixture of some water and cinnamon. I use about a quarter cup of cinnamon in here, and just take and mix it up. And this will be what I use to treat these with. And I'm trying this year. I think this method will be good. There's a lot of methods you can do as far as for storing your cuttings and stuff. A lot of people wrap them individual, different things, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take and cut these up into sections. Now I'm going to try to stay on camera as much as possible, and we're going to start with these elderberries. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this. I prefer kind of maximizing my cuttings. Now, you have nodes here just like you do on the others. Now I'm going to cut the bottom off of here because this is where I kind of split it off another one. And now you're not going to want to waste a lot of this. So what I do is I'll take and cut this at an angle right where a limb comes out, and then I'll keep a little bit of this limb. Now, when you do this, each one of these nodes, there's a node here, a node here, and at these nodes, this is where it sprouts out its limbs too. And all these little bumps, you can see them better on the newer wood or the smaller wood. But all these bumps here are just like the bumps that are on, and we can see them a little bit, maybe not a lot, but these little white specks that are off on here, and I'll see if I can find a better one. This is a good one if we can get focused in. But you have little white specks that are at your nodes, which these are where roots come out, but you also have them all down the side of here. You can see all these little white specks. This is where roots will come out. Now, a lot of people say you have more undifferentiated cells at the nodes, which is possibly true, but we're looking for rooting, and so don't think that you're just going to have it root at the node, because it will root. It'll root at the right out the bottom, and it'll root out the node, but it can root all out the sides. When you keep these in a tub in humidity, which I did that one year, and it really keeps them too humid, they were growing roots out half an inch long, straight out the sides, where it was because the humidity was so high, and so they'll root in any of these areas. Now, on elderberries, because they grow so long, now we'll keep that cutting, but because they grow so long between the nodes, now we have about 4 inches here, but we get up here and you can see you have about 7 inches between these two nodes, and it's impossible to get more than 2 nodes for a cut when you have that distance. So don't think that you have to have more than 2 nodes when you're doing elderberries. Now, what I'll do, I don't keep, even though this is going to root, I don't keep below the node very far. I just keep enough that I can make a fresh cut if I'm storing these, and then I'll cut off up above the node and make sure it's at diagonal. So whenever you're getting ready to use your cutting, you'll be able to take and determine which side's the top, because you don't want to plant them upside down. They just do not do good. A lot of times these will sprout and come out, but they take a long time because elderberries kind of sprouts like a weed, is what I'd say. But you don't want to plant them upside down. So just you taper the top, because you know you're going to want water to run off. And if your bottom is cut flat, you'll know how to determine it from the other one. And then you'll have to come back and do a straight cut on where you just remove that. And now this is not going to grow here. This is actually dead, but I'm going to cut this off at an angle, and we'll keep that as one too. So if you get elderberry plant cuttings from someone and you just have 2 nodes, know that that's the reason why it's done that way. And I'm just going to put these here, go ahead and put them into my mixture there. That way they can start soaking up water. I like to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is, and this is easy enough to determine which one is the bottom, but I'm going to cut this loose here. Now, I'll keep this bottom piece here on this one, and I'll just go ahead and cut the top. And when I plant this, I'll plant this down here, and it's good about rooting in. And then, like I say, I'll do. And if I have a piece that's left over like this, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Now, normally you'd want your pieces at least pencil size. Now, this is a little bit smaller, but it'll do fine with the elderberries. But I'm going to continue to cut these, and a lot of it determines where a node is to what I might decide to do. Usually I get something like this, and I'll plant this whole area up to here into the my little cup when I plant it. But it's just a matter, we're going to keep cutting these down until we get what we want. Now, I don't like, now if it was in the growing season, I don't like to use this would have been more greenwood, of course, kind of late in the season. And I had taken all the leaves off of here. If it was in the springtime when this was growing, I might go ahead and plant this. But being it is fall, I'm not going to worry about saving that piece. And it's kind of the same way. This is kind of small, really small. I'm not going to save it. But we're just going to continue to cut this up, and we'll throw all our good ones over there into our mix. Now I'm going to continue to take these cuttings, and this video. Now this is kind of long. I could just have made it shorter because this is probably a foot long, and the way my setup is, when I get too long, it's kind of hard to put my cuttings under it. I can do it, but it's kind of hard to keep them under it. But I'm going to continue to do this. I might go ahead on this one and keep a shorter piece, one of these smaller pieces, because I have a good stalk here at the bottom. But no, I think I won't use that. I have plenty of cuttings, and that's what you have to determine is your cuttings, what you have, what you want to do with them, and go from there. Because if you're limited on your cuttings, you might want to try doing something that's a little bit different. Now this one here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut all these off, and I'm going to keep a shorter cutting here. But notice each time I cut this, I'm leaving an angle so that water won't stand on these. But this will root in fine. This one here, we're just going to be a little shorter. Same with this one here. It doesn't take long. You just have to decide what you're going to want. Now here I could have a choice of keeping this cutting or this one, and I'm just going to keep that one there. I take a lot of cuttings because I try to root a bunch of these out and or propagate them so I can sell them in the spring at the farmer's market, so other people can start their own. And you just have to decide how you want to do that. If you're just doing for yourself, and we're going to keep it like that. This one here is kind of small, but we're going to go ahead and do this as 3. Now I'm planning to plant all these today, and we don't want to get too long. So I'm going to treat these a little bit different, but I'm still going to show the process of taking and saving these, especially if you're in an area to where you can't take and put these out right now. And a lot of these cuttings now, you do it at a time when you're going to start pruning your trees. You know, if you have a neighbor or somebody that has fig or elderberry tree, and they're going to be doing some pruning. Well, you might want to go ahead and see if you can't get cuttings from them, because those are just going to be something that's going to be cast out. A lot of people that grow figs and such. Now, it depends on how much room you have. Now, I have quite a bit of room, and that makes a difference for me. Now, I don't want the little limbs on here, because I'm going to put that up under the ground. And you could leave those limbs on there. They will root from here and come out the ground. So don't think that you have to get rid of them. It just, it'll come up and you'll have kind of like a bush. But this is going to give me quite a few. I don't want too awful many elderberries. I think I'll go ahead and cut it like that, and that's all our elderberries. Now what I'm going to do is we'll move you in a little bit closer here. I'm going to take, and I want to make sure that these get coated good, and I'm going to give them a little bit of time to soak, and then we're going to take them out of here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow these to dry, and I'm just going to take them out, and I'm just going to lay them on a towel. And this could take a few hours to do this. I'll just put them all out. No complicated procedure. Now, you could, if you wanted to speed it up, you could put a fan there or something to blow air, and that could speed up the process. But we don't want to store these when they're real wet like this, because what you're going to encourage is fungus and mold growth, and we definitely don't need anything. Of course, they are treated, but with that much moisture, it's very possible you could end up with some kind of rot or something going on with them, and like I say, we don't want to end up with that. Now, if you're doing this like me with this tub, and of course this water's kind of brown, so you can't see it good, but make sure you get all of your cuttings out of there, because, and especially if you have some shorter ones, which we'll see with some of these others, because you don't want a situation to where you end up forgetting one, and then you've got a variety mixed in with a different variety. So take the extra time, make sure that you do that right. Okay, now we're going to talk about, now I've cut up a couple of varieties, and I got one soaking now to give it a little bit of time to soak in that mixture. But I've cut these up, and if you're going to sell cuttings, you don't want to sell something like this. But what I do is I go down the line, and if I have a limb come out, I'll just cut it off and I'll save it. This will sprout good. There's plenty of energy there, and especially being these are going to be going out directly. But what I want to talk about now on this one, as you can see, I have a node right down here, and I have another node right down here, but the next node is way up here. And with this distance here, there's no way that you're going to get 3 nodes on this piece. And you have to decide. Now, a lot of people, when they're buying them, they want them with at least 3 nodes. Sometimes that's not possible. Now I'm not planning to sell these ones. I'm planning to keep them. But what I do is I'll cut that shorter section. That's only about 6 inches, but that's plenty long enough. And I kind of determine between how I'm going to take this for my next one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this limb section. So I'll cut it there, and then I'm going to cut it just past this section here. So I have a good place for roots to come out. This will be a good piece. And then this last one. Now what I want to tell you, now you can tell which way this one goes, but if for some reason you don't cut your ends right, or you get cuttings that they cut both ends off flat and it's not marked, your leaf always comes out below where it's going to set buds for your fruit. You've got 2 bumps that are coming out here. That's usually it might set out another leaf and instead of fig there. And this is where the old leaf where I cut it off. This will actually drop off. It's no use because the leaf isn't there anymore. But know that that's the way up is. You always have the leaf bud, and I can show you on this one here. You have where your leaf was, and then you have your little buds come out above it. And that's the way you always determine where the top is, because like say, you don't want to do them upside down. And figs they'd be really slow or really bad to germinate if they're upside down. But we're going to go ahead and finish the rest of these, and then we'll talk about treatments for storage. When you're laying these out and you have multiple different kinds, now the way I do it is I'll starter type, and then I'll put one in here that's labeled. Then I'll go to the next one and put the one that's labeled, and that way I have a good indicator to where that one starts and ends at, because I don't want to end up getting this confused and not having the correct variety in there. And it's easy to do that. I have one on the shelf now that I'm propagating out, and we'll take a look at it. This one here, I don't know what it is. I didn't mark it. I got a pretty good idea. Now on the roots, and we're going to see if we can't, you can see the little roots there, but these were nice and white. Now they're turning brown, which is not a good sign. But you can't really see, but you might, all these little fine hair roots. And I think my best bet for this is go ahead and move it up, get it out of this container where it's got a bigger container. Now this one was not protected like my other ones, if you watch my earlier video. And so I don't know if there's any fungal gnats in here. I'll have to look good, see if they're crawling around, because that could be a problem. That could be part of the problem. I did let this dry just a little bit, not watering it good, because I don't have this in my new modified fig pot method. But the main thing is to make sure you put your tags. Sometimes I get to doing something and I'll get sidetracked and then I don't have a tag. So we're going to have to guess what this is. Once it starts growing, I'll kind of get an idea, because I know what I propagated early, and hopefully I can tell the variety. But otherwise, if someone just wants a fig, I'll just sell this as a no name. Okay, I've got my beeswax heated up. Now once it gets to where it melts it completely, I just turn it off. There's no need to get it real hot. Now I've done a few of these. You don't have to worry about doing the top, if you're going to plant them, the ones that are top ones, they're fine. If you're going to store them, you won't need to do the bottom, but it's just a matter of taking these and dip them in there, and that wax will cool down pretty quick. I always put them on something just to be sure. Make sure you don't mix your different ones up, and once they cool down, I'll set them back over here. If you're working with something like this one, I just cover both ends of the bottom, and something like this one, I'll coat where it's been cut off, and then I'll coat the bottom if I'm storing it. But for these here, we're going to plant, so we'll just coat the top. And it's that simple. Now, when you store them, you can coat both ends of the ones that are cut on both ends, and you can put them in a plastic bag, stick them in the refrigerator. A lot of people put them down in the crisper in the bottom of the refrigerator, and I've seen where people talk about where they've some of them have lasted a good year. So, but it depends on, too, I'm guessing when they were cut, how they were wrapped. Now, some people like to wrap them in a paper towel. Some people like to wrap them in plastic wrap, like saran wrap. That's always an option. Just make sure that you have them labeled. Now, I don't label each one of my cuttings. So as far as that end goes, I'm not worried about it. When I plant them, I label each one of the containers. Try not to get them mixed up, and try propagating a few. If you know someone has a fig tree, take you some cuttings. We'll ask them first. But if you can get someone who's got one, and you can get some cuttings, some branches, and just cut them. This is all the knowledge you need to do it. And I posted a video, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, on how I'm planting them now, which is a little different from last year, hopefully for better success. And seems like it's going to do a lot better. And of course, I thank you for watching to the end. If you want to see more content like this, of course, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell, and select all. And give her a big thumbs up and share this video. Enjoy that gardening experience.